Why is Bandai Namco the one who has the licenses for the Naruto games today? Well, I guess the answer lies in this game. Welcome to the second chapter of the Ultimate Ninja saga. This is Naruto Ultimate Ninja 2. It was time to go back with this mythical saga of games. If you are one of those who has discovered the channel throughout the Dragon Ball games review videos, stay here and I assure you that this is also going to be a series that you will enjoy. And if so, do not forget to leave a good like to support the content. Before I go deeper with the content of the game, I would like to mention a few things that I missed in the previous video. At the beginning of that pilot episode, I mentioned that the first Ultimate Ninja would come to America in 2003, when in fact that was the launch date of the game in Japan. When it got here to the West, it was already 2006, 3 years later. So let there be no confusion, we are going to use the official release dates of the games here in America, but not in Japan, okay? Alright. This game would arrive for PlayStation 2 once again in 2007, only 1 year different from its predecessor, but I tell you firsthand that the changes implemented were enough and they were for the good. At first glance, it may appear only a copy of its first installment, but with a little more extra content with new characters and scenarios. Of course, it's the impression it gives you, but that changes when you go into story mode and we already have in-game cinematics and dialogues for the first time. Previously, only a system of scrolls was established that included relevant battles for the character we used, even putting non-canonical fights to fill game content. But now they gave a step further. They didn't go the easy road and represent the original story of Naruto manga from the late events where they had left with the previous game, which was practically at the beginning of the Chunin exams finals. They are no longer dialogue and fight constantly, but they use the game engine to give the feeling of linearity and progress in the story. Practically every dialogue we ever see in the anime is here. The events occur with a very good rhythm and correctly using the capabilities of a 6th generation console. But do you remember when I said at the beginning why Bandai Namco is now the sole owner of the Naruto licenses? It is because of what they achieved with this game, or at least what they promised they would bring to the players continuously. So we have for the first time an open world attempt with free exploration and with the possibility of going to the place of the missions. This was one of the first real attempts to make a small linear open world of Naruto's village, as Uzumaki Chronicles did in 2006 to use the worldwide trend at then of consoles with polygonal elements and 3D technology. This scanning was used to enrich the game mechanics, like when we look for Tsunade by asking nearby villagers if they have seen her and showing her photograph. By the way, the game really gets to cover very little of the story, only the exam battles between Naruto and Neji, Shikamaru against Temari, Sasuke against Gaara, Naruto against Gaara, the arrival of the Akatsuki to the village, Sasuke's meeting with Itachi, and the story arc when Tsunade becomes the 5th Hokage. It should be highlighted and even applauded that to be a story mode that only represents a small portion of the Naruto story, they bothered to make a good story mode and don't go the easy way. They could quietly have made an exact copy of what was the first game and add extra characters to it. It's already done. Many video game companies have come to do the same and end up having the same amount of sales, but CyberConnect 2 has to be recognized for that merit. I am also surprised that absolutely all the dialogues are dubbed with the original voices. It helps a lot for the immersive experience of the game and also to make the interactions of the characters feel more natural and authentic. Going back to the exploration of the game, even though they're not full of areas of activities and hidden secrets in very corner, remember that we are talking about a 2007 game actually developed in 2003, this does have several alternate activities to make us feel inside Naruto's everyday life. You can do pose challenges with Gai Sensei and Shikamaru where you must memorize their movements, and other combat challenges like when you should never stop hitting your rival. You can also choose between a list of secondary missions from rank D to rank S less, making their difficulty vary. A character customization system was also included, where you can power up some skills of the ninjas you choose depending on the amount of points you have. The effort to do something different and to offer new things is there, with the same formula, but it's there. They could have done a better effort, a little more in implementing new mechanics for the training of the Rasengan, because they even highlighted it on the cover of the game. Naruto was going to learn how to do this technique, and even so they only limited themselves to representing him with fights against Jiraiya over and over again. However, I cannot ignore the things this game did wrong, and it is that CyberConnect keeps insisting on repetitive game methods and little rewarded, which unfortunately players continued involuntarily encouraging. I mean that on several occasions during the story mode it feels very tedious to meet the objectives that leave you like leaving at least 50% of life remaining, stay with a certain amount of chakra, or win with some secret technique. Many will say that these difficulty levels give the game a more demanding level, but I personally don't see it that way. One thing is that the game encourages you to progress in the story, overcoming much more complicated combats that you have fighted before, making use of the things you have learned in your journey, and what they are doing here is something very different. They leave you at a disadvantaged starting point because many enemies have to be defeated in their awakened state or with increased speed, and condition you to play the combat the way they want, not putting you a rival tough enough for us to overcome with our own skills. That feels annoying because above all things, this fighting style does not lead to generating a strategy that we are able to overcome these challenges. The most effective way to do it is to rely in the old CyberConnect style. This type of games that did not understand the concept of frame data at all. It is still a game that rewards the player who matches the circle more. And like this, we go on to talk about the gameplay and changes in the mechanics of this second installment. I felt that the combos were balanced in a better way. For example, you could no longer mash the circle to keep your rival under pressure as a kind of jail. There is a little time interval between the last hit you connected until you can start another combo, which gives your opponent a chance to counterattack. Still, the characters are very unbalanced. The substitutes are much more repetitive and frequent during the fights. At any time you can substitute yourself from a combo, and it leads to many situations of discontinuity of the action. The number of items that can be spawned has been significantly increased, and there are more variety of combos that can be performed thanks to it. The ultimates are continued to be executed with button commands, but those to press a single button quickly and rotate the analog constantly were also added. The cast of characters was increased in an exponential way. Well, it wasn't very difficult when the previous game only had 14 characters, but hey, here they are. 32 characters to choose from. All the 9 genin that were not playable before were now available. Others like Itachi, Kisame, Jiraiya, Tsunade, the third Hokage, Kabuto, Shizune, and Kakashi Anbu were also included. And then there are other characters that I don't know if to count as new, which would be Naruto in Lee's clothes, Hinata with the Byakugan, and Naruto in his Kyuubi chakra mode. Besides this, as a curious fact, it has been one of the only Naruto games besides Ninja Storm 3 where I have seen Inoichi making an appearance. Well, it turns out here there is a big but. I personally don't like that a lot of characters have special abilities that are carried over from the first game with their teammates. For example, with Tenten, it's as if they couldn't make the character value on their own. They used recycled content from the previous game to make it see as another character, and that is disgusting, to be honest. In conclusion, Naruto Ultimate Ninja 2 was one of the first games along with Uzumaki Chronicles to bring open world concepts to the gameplay of Naruto games, an experimentation that went out quite well for the first attempt, which would lead to more promises in the future. Its combat system, although simple and imbalanced, works for a mainstream game of the Blonde Ninja, and as an arcade game of the time. The fans of this game did not make them wait, and demanded a continuation for this saga of games that advanced at the same time as the series and the manga. manga, and next game that we will be reviewing and discussing in the next chapter. As always, I will be reading comments, your opinions about this game, if you ever played it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me about my opinions in the video, and I will gladly answer you. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and that was all for today, and I will be watching you in the next video. Take care and see ya!